I turn off all the things.
Good morning and welcome to Ignite Your Wow. I'm Kellyanne and I am your host. Before we begin, I'd like to remind you that if you are watching live, please let me know where you're from. And if you have any questions when you meet our guest, please feel free to put them in the comments section. Please share if you like what you're hearing, and please remember to subscribe so that you get notifications every time my show goes live. I have two sponsors today. The first one is Blue Sky Video Productions, and that is, well, my not here now producer, Bruce Himmelblau. And he's a YouTube strategist, and he produces the show, except for today. And he makes this very easy, what I'm doing very easy. My second sponsor is cardsthatwow, and these are branded handmade cards that when you send them to your clients, they will actually open the envelope and say, wow. So, but first I want to do a special thank you for Mark Rodriguez. He is my producer today. He stepped in for Bruce while he couldn't be here, and he's an amazing friend, and I just wanted him to know how much I appreciate him stepping in and helping me today. So today's guest is, we're defining wow in many different ways on my show, and this is how people found their passion and how they, how they became what they are, where they are today. So my guest, Mike Brooks, today is going to share with us how he found his wow and hopefully his definition. So hi, Mike, how are you?
Hi, Kellen. Thanks for having me on the show. Can I say something before you even start?
Sure. Yeah.
So I got these cool things in the mail, these cards that wow. And I got to say, wow, look at how that's so cool. It's our logo.
They were like a puzzle.
It's so cool. Like this is awesome. Comes with little envelopes. I love these. So thank you.
You're welcome. I just appreciate you taking time out of your busy day and being with me and sharing with my audience, what you do, how you do it, and why you do it. So first of all, you're the director of sales and marketing for Audit Sales Presentation System. So for those, we talked about this earlier, and this is a very niche market.
Yeah. We're not sure whether it's niche or niche, right?
So if anybody wants to comment on the side if it's niche or niche, of course, I don't know if we could tell, it's spelled the same both ways.
Yeah, I always say niche.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know.
So why don't you talk a little bit about what you do first?
Sure. Yeah. So the company's Audit Sales Presentation System, it's a very, like Kellen, like you said, it's a niche. We serve the IT industry. So think about if you're the kind of business that needs an IT person on your team, but you're not yet ready, or you really don't have it in your budget to hire an IT person full-time, you would hire these outsourced IT companies. They're called managed service providers. And basically they're full IT company that comes into your company, and they do help desk and infrastructure. So usually they're for a larger company that isn't going to hire an IT team of their own, department of their own, or will enhance that department, if that makes sense. What we do for them is, if they were coming to your business, if an IT company was coming to your business, they would do what's called a technical assessment. They would walk through your IT environment, and then they would need to pitch you. They would need to sell you on their service. So they take that technical data that they've got, and they have to turn it into something that's going to help you understand what your IT is about. And that's where audit comes in. They use us to create that sales presentation that they would share with the non-technical business owner.
Yep, that would be me. And I didn't even know that. Yeah, let's not even get into my technology lack there.
That's most small businesses. As a business owner or business professional, if you're a lawyer, doctor, whatever, your expertise is in what you do, not in the technology. Right. So where our tool shines is in making this understandable.
Well, and that's great because it's all about do what you do best and hire those to do what you don't. And
Right.
that's been kind of my motto these past few months. So, okay, let's see. Oh wait, I was stalking your Facebook page. I mean, I was looking at your Facebook page. And so you have a dog?
I do. I
And
have a former dog and I have a current dog.
okay, so is the current dog the black dog?
Yes.
Okay. If I find a dog on somebody's page, I just go, ah! So I have a question about your dog later.
Yeah.
And then I also saw a comment about 0.001% body fat. Do you remember that?
It sounds like some dumb thing I would say, though.
It was The Rock.
Oh, yeah. I'm probably making, like, I only post snarky, dumb things.
I
Like,
know. That's why I enjoyed your Facebook page so much.
like, the only time I post on, like, some people like to go on Facebook and post about politics. I like to make dumb comments and make fun of myself, so I was probably, I'm going to guess that I was making fun of myself that and putting a picture of The Rock, maybe that was me or something.
Well, I guess it was, he has 0.0000001% body fat, and you were talking about being the polar opposite of that. So I thought that was kind of funny. So, okay, so let me get these in order. I don't have an order. Okay. So in your industry, is there a lot of competition for what you do?
Actually, there's no competition.
It's very niche.
We're kind of inventing we're inventing a thing in our, and I don't like to talk about it because I don't want to cue them into how to compete with us, because there's a lot of tools that create reports. There's not one that creates a simple report, and a lot of.
Okay, we don't have to talk about that. Top secret.
Okay.
So, in IT, I imagine there's a lot of continuing education and learning. So what do you do to keep on top of your game and always be like a step ahead of everybody else?
From an IT perspective, I am not, I just talk to people. So I'm not really studying or reading. Like I do that with marketing and sales. Like I'm always reading the marketing or sales book because that's what I do. I'm a sales and marketing person at this company. I'm not a technical person, even though, ironically enough, I went to school for information systems, but I wasn't very good at it. So actually, my first job out of college was in IT, which is hilarious because here I am working in IT now, and I was never very technical. I was asked to not be in IT by my first employer. So.
Well, the marketing part is obviously a major part of what you do, and you have to keep on top of that stuff too. So do you have a reading list? Do you have a mentor, or, what do you do to keep yourself, because things are changing every day in our world, in marketing world?
Yeah. So, I've been doing this for a long, long time now. So I'm going on, you can see the gray in my beard. And I had hair when I started this journey back in the early 2000s. In 2002, I quit my day job and I became a part owner of my martial arts school. So I became a martial arts school owner, and I had to learn marketing at that point. I didn't take it in school. I didn't know how to market or sell. So I had to learn it at that point by myself. And I just dove into books and at that time and found my way to the world of direct response marketing. If you're a lot more people are familiar with that now. And Dan Kennedy was my first kind of mentor, if you will, in that space. And I got deep into that world and learned how to write good copy. I took a lot of trainings with folks, a gentleman named John Carlton, who has an amazing training that I took, his writing system, and just immersed myself in that and really started doing it for the martial arts school. So I was learning it and doing it. And that direct response world it's hopefully I'm not, if you're not following that, let me know, feel free to ask me.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
I don't want to go down too deep a rabbit hole with that, unless you want me to.
Well, whatever you want. This is your show. Well, no, it's my show. But
it's your show.
Your interview. No. Well, okay. So, what is the biggest hurdle you have to climb over to get someone to realize that they need your product?
So the biggest hurdle that I have to get people over is that they have to not be so technical.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has when anybody's selling anything, they have the techno jargon of what it is they're selling.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody does. Doesn't matter what you're selling. In the IT world, it happens to be very, very technical to begin with. And it's, the people who run those businesses are typically engineers. They're very, very smart. And a lot of them don't have the natural, I think, communication skills that a natural salesperson might have. So they have to learn that stuff, and really educating them that you don't have to prove that you're an expert. You have to understand and be able to put yourself in the shoes of the person sitting across the table who's going to be confused by what you're talking about. And really, that simple sells. Simplicity sells more than anything else. Telling stories sells. Nobody wants to hear about the technical mumbo jumbo. They just want to know what it means to their business, how it's going to help them, what they need to do next, and helping them to understand that's what they have to do. When they understand that, they're going to want to be involved.
Right. So simplicity is the key here. And so I'm trying to think which direction to go with this. So I the biggest thing when I was in sales was I had to work within their budgets, and marketing budgets were always the first thing to go. But you're working with an IT budget, or is that what you would be working with? Do they have IT budgets? I mean, is there dollars to spend on what you have? Is that a hurdle?
No, we're pretty affordable in the realm of a tool. We're a software tool, right? So our system is a software. They just sign up. It's a monthly type of subscription software, and usually that will fall. The kind of clients that we have are usually smaller businesses, right? Like, so it could be a single person operator all the way to, we do have larger clients that are multi-million dollars, but I would say the wheelhouse for us is between $1 to $3 million in revenue. So you're going to look at a company with 8 or so, 4 to 8 employees type of structure. And usually it's owner driven. The owner knows they need a sales tool, and they go out and they get it.
Okay. That's great. So what is the biggest surprise that you've had in your career? So, or something that was shock value, like a client that you met, or a huge sale, or, just something that you went, whoa.
Yeah, it was, it was actually I've always been a student of sales, even though I'm a sales and marketing person. I love sales. Like, I've had some commission position jobs in the past, but I'm not a career commission salesperson. So I've ran my own marketing company. I ran my own martial arts school. So I was selling, but I was my own boss, right? It's like, I don't consider that I'm a true sales professional in that sense, that I was working for a company being on, commission sales, right? But so I've always enjoyed the idea that the whole simplicity thing, and being able to explain things, being able to build relationships with your client, build trust. I study that stuff. I love that stuff. And I was at a client once. This was when I ran my marketing agency, and I was doing search engine optimization. It was around, the year was 2012, I believe, 2013. It was a point when Google was starting to really punish companies that were doing some bad stuff. And this company invited me to come in because their Google rankings went down the toilet. And we were a company that did search engine optimization, which, if you know that, it's SEO is short. Do you know what SEO means? Search engine optimization, right? You're familiar with that. Now everybody's familiar.
Now I am. Like, right? not today, but like
in general, like recently, but like in 2012, 2013, people knew they needed Google. They needed to be ranked on Google, but they didn't necessarily know what search engine optimization meant, all that. So I was at a client, and he brought me in basically to look at prospect. He brought me in to look at his Google rankings that tanked, and I started throwing around words like SEO. I actually said your SEO is this, and he at one point he goes, "This all sounds great. You know, we really know we definitely need help with what's going on with Google, but what is SEO?" And I was like, "It's what you brought us in here to talk about." And it was like, it really, because I had always studied this stuff and it's going back to the martial arts years when I taught kids, you have to explain things simply. So simple is something that I've always prided myself at, being able to make things easy to understand. And I've always studied how to do that and written about how to do that. And here I was in a situation where I used techno jargon, acronym, and confused somebody. You never underestimate what somebody doesn't know. And it was one of the reasons why I was attracted to this company that I'm with now, is because the key to this company is simplicity. So that was a big wow moment for me, you know, especially because I knew that stuff. I knew that I shouldn't do that. And I took for granted that he knew the acronym, you know, because he brought me in, technically brought me in for that acronym, but never, ever, always go and do the best you can to make sure it's simple.
I love that. And it's true. It's true with anything. So when you had to like level down the techno and the information. So how did you go about doing that? I know that when I had a blog for quite a while, and I was writing, and it was the level was too high. So I read a book, or I read somewhere online, okay, you have to write at a 5th grade reading level. And I did that, and it blew up. But so how do you, I don't want to say dummy up. I'm trying to think of the word without saying that.
Sure. Yeah. I'm pretty good at doing that just because I'm a dummy anyway. Like I think at a 3rd grade level, so I'm like way ahead of the game.
We're talking, okay, never mind.
No, so well, first of all, there are tools out there. You can actually, and I don't know the name of it anymore. I don't use it anymore. I think I'm pretty good at dumbing my stuff down. And your these days WordPress blogs, they will, like, if you're writing on WordPress, it tells you what your readability score. But there is a tool that you can put your copy into, and it will tell you what grade level you're at. I think if people Google, like, you know, if you're good at Googling stuff, I would probably Google something like, what grade level is my copy at? And you'll probably come up with that tool. But it's training, you know. First of all, I've trained myself to kind of write like I talk. I think that's important. I always read everything out loud. So once I have it written, I will read it out loud. And I've trained my, you know, I look for words that you don't need. I try and keep sentences short, paragraphs short. Good grammar is important, but it is, to me, secondary to readability. So if a paragraph is this much, I may still split it, even though it should be this much, because it's just easier to read. So I go through and I scour for words. And there's a gentleman who wrote a great book, which I could probably find if I look carefully. Hang on a second. We're going to do it's somewhere in here. If you're a direct response copywriter and you're familiar with Gary Halbert, who is, I found the book. Gary Halbert he's passed away, but he is one of considered like the prince of direct response copywriting. And his son, Bond Halbert, who's a friend of mine, wrote this book called the Halbert Copywriting Method. So this is a great little book. Like, if you really want to dig into how to edit your copy to really make it read and really pop, that's a great book. He's got like it's like tons of bullet like this. It's a checklist that you go through of how to really edit your copy well. So great book. But that's the key. You know, I think the biggest, like, the one tip I would give is really read it out loud, because if you're stumbling over your words while you're reading it, then you know you got to edit it, and it kind of helps you to edit while you're going.
You've just described all the habits of, you know, an author writing a book. So I think you have a book in you, even though you think you're very niche, and just from talking.
I've actually written 2 books.
I asked you about that before this.
I did, I wrote a book. So I wrote a book called The Nuclear Chowder Marketing Method, because my
Okay, yeah.
company before this was Nuclear Chowder Marketing. That was my marketing company. And really the book was simply something I could give prospects. Like I didn't publish it with the intent of selling books. I published it with the intent of using it for credibility.
Mhm.
So it's still out there on Amazon. I think it's good, just good marketing advice. So feel free to get it. And I wrote another book before that just on, it's called the simplest, easiest marketing, marketing. I can't even remember what the name of the book is. I have it somewhere, but it's like, I wrote it with had another internet marketing company with a friend of mine who he was a mentor of mine. And I just wrote out his philosophy and published the book. And we did that again to promote a system that we were selling online, a coaching system of his. It was funny because I wrote it, and then I put his name on it because it's really his teachings. And he's like, "Oh, cool. I wrote a book without having to write a book."
That's awesome. So, what's one thing you wish you knew when you began your career that you know now?
That it takes hard work, tenacity, perseverance, and it's not a 9-to-5 thing necessarily to build a business and be an entrepreneur. I was not really a good employee when I graduated college. I was like a 9-to-5, probably like you ever watch the what was it, Office Space, the movie? You remember that movie, Office Space? It's a really funny movie, and these consultants come into the company and are laying people off. And I think the guy somehow gets hypnotized, and he just says whatever's on his mind, and he gets promoted because they think he's great. But
is that the Liar?
What's that?
Is that The Liar?
No.
Okay.
Office Space, I think.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
I think that's the name of the movie. But basically he sat down with the consultants and said, I think I work about a good 15 minutes per day. So that's how I was when I was an employee. And, if somebody had sat down and kind of, I should have probably owned my own business before so I could understand what it takes to be a good employee. I would have been a much better employee and a much better worker.
So do you think you would have listened to that advice?
Probably not.
And then where would you be? You'd be a dog walker, right?
Well, there's an old saying, like in a mentor of mine said this years ago when I ran the martial arts school, because I was frustrated that I couldn't bring others around to my way of thinking in how to run a martial arts school. And he said to me, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's a very true piece of advice, of wisdom that I've carried with me all these years. You can't make people, you really just can't make people change their minds. You can help them. You can share with them your knowledge and your skills and use the right skills to steer them in the right direction. But ultimately it's your decision, that person's decision, to decide that they are ready to do something. So the student has to be ready for the teacher to properly teach them. Right. So I don't think I was ready at that point, right? I wasn't a good student then.
So marketing is obviously your forte. And what would you say would be the best marketing advice you could give somebody who is, either just starting their entrepreneurship or, seasoned and needs to just kind of get unstuck? What would be the best marketing advice you would give?
That is a really good question. I don't know that there's one piece of advice. That the problem with it is that everybody's different, right? Everybody's at a different point in their journey and dealing with different things, and different niches mean different things. I would definitely say to get yourself into a community and get some mentors or mentor that you can trust, training that you can trust, read everything that you possibly can. But you have to look, and you have to look for the right mentor. Like if you're in the B2B world of marketing, your mentor might not be the best mentor, might not be in the B2C or e-commerce world. You have to really choose wisely. So, learning is the key. right? Read everything,
Mhm.
find communities, be curious, and put stuff into practice. And I guess I would also say brand yourself, do your personal branding, get out there and do write, do content, practice what you're learning so that you can experiment and learn.
Perfect. Great advice. Okay, now a fun question. If you could ask your dog 3 questions, what would you ask him?
Why are you like this? I would ask him that 3 times.
Oh my God. So what does he do to make you prompt that question?
He's interesting. Our first dog was a golden retriever. He passed away a couple of years ago, and he was just a cool dog. He was like, he was the opposite of what this dog is. So the golden retriever never barked. He just kind of hung out. He was very quiet. He liked to play, but he wasn't high energy. He was just like sit around, and we're a low energy kind of family. I hate to say that. We're not outdoors people. We're kind of indoors people. So this dog just happened. He's a rescue dog, this dog. And you don't know what you're going to get when you get a rescue dog. We just happened to got like the most psychotic, energetic, outdoor, like he's a working dog, I think. Like he should be on a farm somewhere. So he's just always pushing at you, wants to play tug of war, wants to run. Our backyard looks like a horse race track. So.
That's so funny. It's true. You don't know what you're going to get with a rescue, but
no,
your lives are always better for it. So
he's a great dog. And you have dogs too. You have pugs, right?
Yeah. You described all 3 of my dogs except Gus. He's the lab. He's the whatever you want, Mom, but that's a whole nother show. Okay, what's a question when you're being interviewed that you wish people would ask you?
I don't get interviewed too much. I usually do the interviewing.
Well, I'm not your first.
You're my first in a long time. Like
Okay.
I haven't been a guest on somebody's show in a long, long time. I'm usually the host. I'm on my probably 3rd or 4th podcast that I've done since. I don't think there's any great question, I think the best questions are just come from listening. When people are listening, you ask great follow-up questions like you do. Those are the great questions.
Okay. So where can our viewers connect with you if they, maybe not, whether it be IT software like you have, or maybe a bit of marketing advice, or, where can they find you?
Yeah. So, I'm most active on LinkedIn. So
Okay.
I'm Mike S. Brooks at LinkedIn. Just make sure you pop a note in there because I get so many of these fake salesy requests on LinkedIn. Like if it does, I decline a lot of requests because I get the ones where I say yes and I immediately get a sales pitch, and everybody wants to get on the phone with you and talk to you. It's like you just connected with me on LinkedIn to do that. So, pop a personal note in there on LinkedIn. Let me know how we met, and I'm happy to chat with anybody.
That I've been in a couple of LinkedIn forums, and that is one of the biggest no-nos and the most annoying things that people do when they connect is they connect and then sometimes I get like looks like it could have been a 3-page message.
Right.
And I'm like, how's this working for you? Delete. So
yeah. It's like I'm always sorry when I have those moments of weakness, and you can see them coming a mile away. Even some of them even put a comment in there where it's like, hey, I see you're into podcasting, and you see that they're a podcast, that they run a business to podcasters. So I see what you're doing there. I'm your prospect and you're prospecting me, which is cool. I get it.
The least you can do to get attention. It's like, why don't you talk about the name of your podcast or a certain episode of your podcast, right?
Yeah. I mean, have a reason. There should be a reason. Like, hey, I saw you on this I enjoyed your podcast when you were talking to this person, this guest you had. That was really cool. I do that all the time. I hear people on podcasts and I reach out to them and I say, hey, I loved your podcast. I thought that was just a really cool episode that you did. And I give some kind of feedback on it so that I'm not just sending out a blanket.
Well, it's genuine. It's
yeah.
wanting to be a true connection, not just sell something.
Right. Exactly.
So, okay. So my last question is a tough one. Okay.
Right on.
What is your definition of wow?
My definition of wow is caring. I think. Okay. So like just caring about other people, being curious and kind of going the extra mile. I've always been a person who has empathy and maybe too much sometimes, like, especially in selling. I think that's, I don't want to say I'm a pushover, but I always worry about what's going on with the other person. But I think that's an important characteristic, and over time it builds relationship with people. So just really caring about what you do and who you're doing it for.
Thank you. That was great. Any last words you'd like to say before we end this to our people that are watching and the people that will be playing this on the replay?
Yeah, well, just that this was a wow. That was really cool. I love these. So thank you so much for, I'll put it while I'm on, just to promote these are really cool. I love these.
Thank you so much. Yes, like I said, I really like, those were like a fun puzzle. Like that's probably the amount of puzzle I could do. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 pieces.
10 pieces. Yeah, I'm not a puzzle person.
So thank you again for being with me this morning and sharing your time with me. I appreciate all the information that you shared. And everybody, I hope you guys have a great day today. And let's see, thank you, Blue Sky Video Productions. Thank you, cardsthatwow. Thank you, Mark Rodriguez, for being the most amazing step-in producer I've ever had in my life. And everybody, we'll see you next week. Have a great day.